right? Well, it has been another month already. It's proper flown, that one. And the chaos has begun. Definitely, the big match season has started, and that's pretty much all I've done the last month. So, when we're going to start, we had the first ever one, or the first one for me this year was Tunnelbound Farm, which is my favourite venue by miles in terms of big matches. That's where, for me, I think it's the best big match venue. You can catch fish pretty much on every lake at Tunnel. But that was my first one, and it were horrible. Absolutely horrible. We got there, and it were 40-mile-an-hour winds, freezing cold. In fact, no, it's a lie, it wasn't freezing cold. It was like 10 degrees. And it was horrible though. Do you know what I mean? Proper nasty day. And I drew peg 5 on Newpool, which is a weird one. It's sort of, it's a little narrow bit of Newpool from 2 to about 7. It was in the little skinny bit there, which I'm honest, I didn't fancy it one bit. I'm not one for proper moaning, but I was ready to go home. I weren't happy about that peg. Mainly because the wind was flying through, and I just thought, it just went right. I'd say I got to my peg. So it was ridiculously windy. Peg 3 was in, which it never normally is. I was quite feeling it if I had a gap till peg 1, but my mate Jakes Brown was on peg 3. A bloke had drawn peg 7, but then I got a little bit of luck. This is the key point of my day, was getting a little bit of luck in that peg 10 wasn't drawn, which peg 10 sort of, if I'm on a narrow canal section that runs, you know what I mean, obviously opposite me, peg 10 sort of looks up this way, where the canal sort of stops, and peg 7 sort of set back a little bit on me as well, which is in the corner to my left. And because peg 10 wasn't drawn, and because it was so windy left to right to left where we were, I just felt that maybe if the chap next to me couldn't fish out because of the wind, none of us could, because I was sort of out a bit, I felt that I might pull them fish. I mean, peg 10's a potential contender, you know what I mean? I'd have definitely had it on the day. I wouldn't have been too happy with it. I'd have been quite happy being there. So that was me bit of luck on the day, but I'll touch on that in a minute. So with it being ridiculously windy, I'm all up for keeping things as simple as possible and not trying to do something that you sort of can't do. I mean, because of the conditions, just do what you can do. Don't make it hard for yourself, because you're never going to win doing that. So what I did, I decided on maggots down the edge, which was a quick swap, because I must admit, I was planning on fishing pellets there. But then my little mate Matty Dawes come round and he said, maggots have been a little bit better. So I thought, he's dead right. Really, really windy. So feeding maggots, I could just be a bit more positive with my feed, but I could also have a bit of a nastier rig, I mean, which was going to help on the nasty weather, just to hold my rig in position. So that was my first little line that I intended on fishing most, was a line down the edge, probably about 5 metres up to this little tree stump, where I had a lovely depth. I had about 2.5 foot, 2.5 foot, but it was nice. You know, it was nice and clean on the bottom, tacked up to the bank. It was just right. It was a lovely edge. Aside from that, I had a top kit with pellets. I thought I'd put a top kit in just to start on, see what happens. With a 4/16s, even in 4 foot, it was really windy, and I'd rig down the middle. So there were my 3 options. Rig down the middle. I wasn't quite sure what to do. I mean, I planned on feeding maggots there to start, but I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with that, so I just put a nice a 4/14s with strung out shotting on that, because I could just about get away with it, because it doesn't seem to tow as much down the middle. So there were my three pegs that I went with, and I started on my top kit. Let's say starts the match on top kit, and it was rubbish. I mean, I was expecting it to be fairly decent fishing, but I started in a top kit for probably 15-20 minutes, and I only had 2, which I thought, I couldn't see there being a lot of fish about, because I was struggling so much short. Normally get a lot of indications short. If there's plenty in here, you may catch them. So I started there, I had 2 in 20 minutes, but all the time I've been doing that, I'd been feeding me edge, because I thought that's going to be my main line if I'm going to catch. So I've been throwing maggots down there, and really importantly, I think, I had a couple of ducks in my peg. So the difference having a couple of ducks in your peg can make, particularly with F1s in shallower water, when they've got the little legs kicking to stir it up a bit, it can be mega. So I was really happy I'd been feeding this line, and I got a couple of ducks there nailing off my maggots, but so I didn't mind that. So after 20 minutes, I've sacked that top kit line off, because that was a waste of time. And I've gone down the edge, and it was black. Straight away, it was 1 a chuck. I must have had 25 F1s in an hour and a bit. I mean, plenty, nice, proper, big stamper fish as well. So I was really happy with that. And because that was so good, I went with maggots down the middle. You know what I mean? It was clear that maggots were going to be the best option. So I fed some maggots down the middle. I started feeding that after about an hour. When my short line went dicky, I went on that. That was good as well. I caught plenty of little stamp F1s on that. And it sort of carried on like that. I had a nice, probably the first 2.5, 3 hours of the match, I just ticked along nicely, probably catching about 60, 70 poundish, maybe a little bit more on those 2 lines. It was really, really good. The issue I then had, I only had 4 pints of maggots with me. So I'm feeding these 2 lines really heavy, and with 2 hours to go, I'm thinking, right, I've got a pint and a half left here. So I haven't got enough to feed the lines properly and to really push it in the last hour, which is when you want to save a bit of bait for. So I made a bit of a strange decision on my middle line to swap it to hard pellets, which is something I've never really done before. I don't bother doing that. I go with one bait and I stick with it. But out of necessity, I swapped it to hard pellets, I definitely believe it was the perfect time to do so as well, because the margin line was starting to fizzle out completely, and the middle line was starting to get a lot more silverfish. I was starting to catch some perch, some hides, some roach. It was nice to catch, but they were definitely affecting my weight. My weight was dropping down, even though I was catching just as many fish. But then by swapping it to hard pellets, I just started feeding 10 pellets on it probably every 2 or 3 minutes while I stayed down the edge. And after 15 minutes, I went on it with an expander on the hook on my normal rig. And it sat there with no indications. I thought, that's weird. There was a lot of fish there before, now it's just sat there. And then it went, and I caught a big 3-pound F1, proper big, massive things that we're after. And it was great. So I kept on doing that. I swapped it to hard pellet, swapped my hook length to a hard pellet instead, because I'm not a big fan of expanders, as we know. And I had an hour where I didn't catch many fish. I probably caught 15 to 20 fish, but they were all proper big lads. They were all 2 to 3, maybe a little bit more. I had a carp as well, probably about 3.5 pound. That was the key point in the match for me, definitely. That was my best decision in the match, was to do that, catch the big fish while they were feeding, and to cut out the silverfish in the dodgiest period of the match. Plus it gave me a chance to save some bait. And then in the last hour, I swapped it back to maggots again. And I really forced it. I mean, I fed 1.5 pints in the last hour, gave him plenty of bait. I set my margin line off altogether, just because I wasn't getting any bites down there. That had sort of fizzled out to nothing. And I had a great last period on that as well. I mean, maggots in the last, I think I had 20 F1s in the last 15 to 20 minutes. It was solid. I mean, when they're going to feed, but I had the bait to do it. It was really important to save that bait so I could really, really push it, give them big handfuls after every time I hooked the fish, give them a big handful of sort of 40, 50 maggots, keep them on the bottom. But it really helped me build that peg in the last hour and give me a phenomenal start that I wouldn't have had if I'd have been eking my bait out. I'd have ended up with a peg full of silvers. But anyway, that was my day's fishing, excuse me. And it's been good. You know what I mean? I've ended up with £146, which for my first fish show this year, that got me through. Which I couldn't ask for more than that. It was mega. I think it fished its nuts off altogether as well. I think Ryan Ligard was second with 136, I'm going to say 134. So I had a bit, luckily. I was quite comfortable, but after that there were loads of hundreds. So it just proves Tunnel is, without doubt, for me, it's the best big match venue. It's so fair, you don't know where you're going to win from, and there's so many pegs, such as mine was on the day, that surprise you. So phenomenal venue, I can't wait to get back there. But that's fish show out the way, so I've got that to look forward to now, but forget about him. After that, it back to reality. So since then, I've fished 3 or 4 big qualifiers after that. I'm not sure what they were. I fished a Maver at the Glebe, I fished a golden reel at Barston, I fished a golden reel at Partridge, and I fished a golden reel at Larford as well. And they've all been horrible. I mean, I've struggled on every single occasion. Other than the Glebe, I had half a chance on the Glebe. I drew 129 at the Glebe on the Maver, which 129's on Lake 9, and it was the end peg, sort of next to peg 8, and the wind was blowing at me, but it was freezing. It was like a bit of an easterly wind. It weren't pleasant to be sat there. And I'll have had 60 odd pound then. All the fish were at the other end out the wind. It was all nice, but yeah, that was no good. Barston was horrible. I drew in the middle of the island, the best looking but worst island in the country at Barston. I didn't catch much on that. In fact, I packed up early on that. It was that good. Partridge was all right. Partridge, I drew 83, which in the morning I was happy with, but it turned out all the fish were all around the lakes. The wind was on your back again, with it being a bit of an easterly. Oh, I think it's southeasterly if it's off your back there. It's no good. Partridge is very, very, very wind affected. So if you get a bit of a breeze coming at you, there's a lot of fish. They follow the wind no matter what the temperature is, what direction it's from, they go with it. And on the day, it was on my back, and it just felt like there was nothing there. I caught a few to start with on hard pellets in 3.5 foot, a few on expanders short, but I just couldn't get any bites, and the peg just fizzled and fizzled and fizzled. And in the end, I felt like there wasn't a fish anywhere near us. No one around me caught anything. 85 had 2 fish. What was I on? 83, 81 probably had 10 pound. There was just nothing there. It really did feel like there were a few fish. I got a bit lucky. I caught some big carp. I had 16 fish for 50 pound, which is, I'd have been happy. You know what I mean? If I could have caught 30 fish, I'd have been right up there, but there just definitely weren't fish in the area that day. That was no good. So Andy Bennett went on to win that one, as he does. He smashed everyone up with 127 pound. So he was the first qualified for the Maver at Partridge. Oh, second, sorry. I forget who won at the Glebe. And what's the last one I fished? The last one was Larford. I went Larford on Sunday, straight after Partridge, and I drew one I've always fancied at Larford. I drew 9 on Arena, which if anyone's been to Larford, it's sort of, Arena's obviously the little pool at the top. I was on the back bank, which is always a nice place to be, and I was the first peg, or the first angle around. I had an empty peg, And that was the first one round. So I had all that corner to my left, which was really, I thought, you know, if they come down the edge, I've got a chance here. Because I felt it was going to be a lowish weight, 120, 130 was the talk on the bank. And on arena, that'd have been, it could be 10 fish, but it'd have been probably 15 to 20 fish. Which I thought, you know, I mean, nice steady day, I can catch that. But it really didn't happen. I had a really, really poor match. Arena fished terribly. What did I catch? I caught 3 in the first hour and a half long on pellets on the bottom. I caught 3 for probably £20, and then I caught nothing for an hour. And then randomly the sun popped up for an hour in the middle of the match, and you could see all the fish swimming around the middle of the lake. So I picked in a 20-minute spell, I caught another 5, and I thought, right, we're game on now. Do you know what I mean? I've ended up with 8 for £63, but in that period I caught 5, and I thought, right, I'm playing. And I never had another bite. I mean, the sun went, the clouds came over, I had a ripple, and I never caught another fish. I never had another bite for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, as arena can be good when them big fish want to feed. They're very temperamental, them great big lads. They feed when they want to feed, and if they don't, they make you look a right wally, as they did on the day. So that's been it for me. That's pretty much say it's well and truly back on the chasing the big matches. So next up, I've got what we're on now. We're out today filming. It's a Wednesday today. On Saturday, I'm at Partridge for a golden reel, and then we're straight back to the glebe again. So we're still chasing the dream, but the weather's still not right yet. It's very cold at night and warm in the day. Very mix and match at the minute. So the fishing isn't great, but someone's got to win. So we'll see how we go. We'll get back in the car, do a bit more driving, keep chasing after them big finals.